My name is Shadyar Omrani. Many people in the United States prefer to call me Sherry, and I'm okay with that because I love Sherry. I am an Iranian American. I've been in Tacoma, Washington States, and the United States for about 9 years now. So I first came to the United States in November 2016. I came directly to Tacoma, and I'm still in Tacoma, and I love Tacoma. I've been a journalist for all my life, let's say, and a researcher, and recently I've been working as media project manager, and also I work with World Affairs Council of Tacoma as marketing and administrative positions. I come from Tehran. I was born in August 1979 in a family of full diversity, racial, religious, and class. So my father comes from Qajar dynasty. He had this kind of aristocrat view and married my mom, who came from a more cultural background, very famous family, actually a famous clan from north of Iran, Gilan. So they had different opinions, different religions, different cultures, different languages. And I was blessed to be living in a metropolitan city like Tehran, the capital of Iran, and in a family of diversity, which was rare at that time. So that made me go through a process, probably unwanted, that many other people around me, like friends and relatives, did not have the chance to get acquainted with different cultures. And so to me, the freedom of religion and speech was important since I was a kid, because that was practiced in my family. And so it wasn't something that was unexpected from me to become an activist in that situation, Since, I was in my junior high and then even in high school, and, well, noticeably when I became a university student, when I started to write, get published as a poet first, and then as a cleric, and then as, I had different hats on usually. And then political, analyst. So I got into this business for more than a job or a career that I liked, but a passion of, pursuing what was from my family, the ideal and the ideology of freedom of speech, freedom of, the matter of dignity, human dignity, to be praised. And that was not well accepted by the government. I was, living, those days in Iran, still the same government in power, the government of totalitarianism, despotism, dictatorship, and talking about freedom of speech, freedom of religion, especially if it is a religious dictatorship, means you are a traitor. Yeah, I was living in fear all the time and disguise all the time. So I was deprived from writing or getting published twice, majorly. And after my writings were censored 3 times. The first book of poetry that I decided to have it published was in 2000 and it was in 2005 when I first decided to have my first book of poetry published. And, well, it was not well received by the government because you cannot get published unless you get the permission from the government. And there is usually has always been actually a council of censorship. So they read it. Sometimes they don't even read it. These days they have apps, and they have some highlighted flag words. The words can be flagged as simple as kiss, your lips, your hair. So if in a piece of poem you are writing about someone's hair that is beautiful, or I wish I could kiss you, as simple as that, you will get, censored. So I got censored twice. The third time, I decided not to change anything and leave the space for those words that are censored. And I sent it back for them to review. And that was the first time that I got my name on that blacklist that I'm deprived from writing for 5 years. After 5 years, I decided to, that was, the name of the book was Calendar. So it was the warm calendar and the cold calendar. In my warm calendar, it was about the days of hope. And my cold calendar book was about the depression, the depressive situations, the heartbreaks, and etc. And altogether, there were 365 pages. That was why I called it Calendar. What eventually got published was a pocket book of 40 pages. So I had to remove all the poems. So I decided to start writing, with pseudonyms. I used to write for, different newspapers and magazines, especially literal magazines, literature, and, art magazines, etc. I was figured out eventually that that is me. So for the second time, I got my name on the blacklist so that I cannot get published anywhere, or I will be arrested. I couldn't give up. And so I started writing for BBC Persian, which is BBC in Persian in the United Kingdom, and other, media under pseudonyms, talking about the freedom of religion and the matter of religiosity. I also come, I told you, from, a diverse religious background of Catholicism, Shiism, atheism. So I was brought up in that situation. I had close relationship with all those religious minorities who are being deprived from their basic, rights. And so I started writing, some advocate analysis as well as interviews with minorities. It was in 2012 when I was summoned by the intelligence service, and after a long story of horror, it's more than fear. And fleeing from one city to another. In 3 days, I had to show up at court, and I will be arrested there. And I left the country, went to Turkey, where I stayed for over 3 years, about 4 years. It was April 2013 when I left Iran, and for good. The day that I left, I just didn't want to get arrested, because I knew that under the interrogations, I will be forced to confess to the things that I haven't done, haven't even thought of, and release the names of the people that I were connected with, all from religious minority groups. And if they would get arrested, they would definitely be executed. And they had this matter of treason and being a renegade, quote unquote, on my case, which could put me in the position of receiving death penalty. So I just wanted to leave. And I said goodbye to the country where I was born in, brought up, loved, and spent my entire youth fighting for its betterment. All my family and relatives, and I'm going to have no chance to see my father again because he died, and I couldn't see him. I couldn't be at his funeral. And so I didn't know what to do. I thought, after a month or so, they told me that UNHCR is the place you have to go and ask for asylum. So that process of asylum seeking towards becoming a refugee took about 2 years, 3 interviews, which I would call a soft interrogation, because they ask about everything, and you are nobody to them. No matter how much you are known in your own country, your name is everywhere in the news, to them you're nobody, and you have to prove that even your name is Shadyar Omrani. You have to prove everything, and it's very hard because you have never seen yourself through that lens, that I have to prove that I am, and I live, and I exist, and I'm true, and I'm not fake. For everything, you had to find some documents. That was hard enough, and after that, you had to wait for the third country, the agents from the third countries. They come, they read your case, and they accept you to get relocated for the permanent residence. And I was lucky to be chosen by the agents from the United States. I knew that I have to go through another screening for 2 more years. And guess what? 38 screening, vetting, security checks that I had to pass, 3 more, much more difficult interviews. I was asked about all my parents' dynasty, my father's first marriage. I had never seen her. I didn't know much about her. But I had to prove that I don't know, or if they are there. So the screening was so hard. And the only thing that really helped me was that my name and my story was everywhere on the news, so they could easily double-check everything that I was saying, and the proofs were available. For many, it's not. When you are fully dehumanized, now it's time for you to receive that call, say you are accepted to enter the United States. That day was significant in my life. Then we ended up here in November, a very rainy night, after being awake for 54 hours on the way from that small village in Turkey where we had to stay. We couldn't leave. Going to Istanbul, being trained that you are going to a country where, no matter who you were, even you were a doctor, you are going to, if you're lucky, find an entry-level job. Cleaning the dishes is a good choice probably for you, etc., etc. There's not much job for you there, no matter who you are. This is what they tell you in culture sessions, which is not true. Not fully true. And then you touch down, it's rainy, and you smell like coffee in SeaTac, and people smile at you, they welcome you, nobody asks you where you're from, and things changes. One of the few choices I had in my life, truly, to choose where to go. As long as you could find what we call it, like emotional sponsor, they say, somebody who is related to you so that you won't feel lost when you first come here. There will be somebody you can talk to, ask questions about. You can choose where to go, which city or which state. And so I did my lessons. One day I said, okay, once in my life somebody asked me, what do you want? And I want to just search and see where to go. I searched all the states, started reading their history, whatever is going on, who is in charge, who is in the office, who is the governor, their history, what kind of people they are, what's the weather like, geography, everything. So I had this studying everything. I said, okay, we're going to Washington State. This is where I really want to go. I love everything about here. And I wish I were born in Washington State. I told my husband, and he said, oh, my second cousin lives there. So the agency that was in charge called us and said that we cannot provide any housing for you because first, when you come through this process, there are some volunteers here who would give you a temporary stay in their home. Sometimes they have small room or they support you until you can find a place to rent. They couldn't find anyone in Olympia. What is your second choice? And I said, Tacoma, the oldest city, the city of history, the city of art, the city of immigrants. And the working class is the people that I would see every day and feel as if I'm looking myself in the mirror. I love that city. I'm going to Tacoma. And they said, yeah, we have people here to help you. And we were so blessed to be welcomed by a pastor from a Lutheran church and his wife. Beautiful people. And I fell in love with them. And so they provided us with a small suite they had. Soon we could find a place to rent where I'm still staying in the same community. We changed the apartment but to a bigger one, but I still live there because it was the place of immigrants too. And that was the greatest thing that I could find. And I'm very happy. And whoever asks me where you're from, I say, I'm from Tacoma. I never say, I'm from Tehran. So I'm from Tacoma. And I wish I were Tacoma. I was born in here. The good thing in Tacoma is that you don't feel you're alone. You have nobody. I don't have anybody. It's me and my husband only. But I never felt alone because as you walk in the street, people smile at you and they're ready for starting a conversation with you. So they don't mind. They wouldn't say that, oh, who is she? Why is she starting talking about weather and then her day and my neighbor is doing that and then politics and everything. So they just stop and continue talking to you. They don't judge your accent. It hasn't happened to me, at least. They don't judge your race and the way that you are dressed. So you can even just feel like, I'm sad today. Let's get out and just jump on a bus. This is what happened to me at first when I came here. So I thought that I need to know this city and people start building up my, social capital. How should I do that? People were nice to me as a, asylum seeker, a refugee, and an immigrant. Now it's my time to pay back. So I went to Tacoma Community House, and I said that I'm ready as a volunteer to help. Just fit me in somewhere. I don't know. I can do many things, and this is my resume. So I started working as a volunteer with them, which was so joyful because I could see people from different countries coming, and we almost shared the same type of story. So I thought that there I am, I can help them. So I worked as a volunteer for a while. And one day, when I first came here, I used to have blonde hair. Which was not my choice, actually, highly recommended by one of my friends. So she decided to dye it blonde. And I looked so funny because I have dark skin, then blonde hair. Then it wasn't me. So one day I decided to change it. I like other colors. So I went into dark blue. And when I got on the bus, everybody started clapping for me. And that was when I felt I was recognized. People know that I take this bus 3 days a week, and they would take that bus every day. So they were waiting for me, and they told me that they like my new hair much better. And congratulations that you changed it from that orange, color to this color. So I felt like I'm at home. And ever since, such stories, something like that has happened to me a lot. People who don't know your name, who wouldn't care even who you are and what you do, but they care to see you so often. And they care to ask you questions, especially during the pandemic. People would knock on our door and ask if we need help. This is so rare anywhere else, I haven't been to different countries. I haven't seen this anywhere else. But this is what happens in Tacoma. After that, I started working in On Track. First, I was a driver. Then they knew that I can do office work. So very soon I was promoted. And after 6 months, I was admitted for graduate school in UW-Tacoma, and my life changed. I graduated in 2021. And after that, I went back to my previous work, which was a journalist. There was an opening in Journalism for Change, which is a nonprofit in Washington, D.C., as project manager. And ever since I've been working there, and it's been quite 5 or 4 months that I'm working as my second job for World Affairs Council, because I really like to be involved with the city also. And I feel quite accomplished. I like the way I'm living here and the people I see. My job lets me to be in contact with immigrants, people who are fighting for their freedom, as well as the residents, the businesses, the locals. And that makes me feel a part of a big whole, a very universal whole. When I first came to the United States, I knew that I was not born here, but I will proudly be the one who would rest here forever. So this is my land. And I really felt it because I was received like that. People would never ask me if I'm American or Iranian, where are you from? I'd never been asked where you're from, although I know I don't look so typical. Even I don't dress so typical. But people don't ask that. As long as you are in the United States, somebody told me that when you come to the United States as a melting pot, you are American and you're accepted. We don't care where you're from or whatever, unless you want to share that. That was why I had very little culture shock. There are few things that sometimes make me smile, which is I can compare. For example, going to restaurants with bars was so strange to me at first. I'd never been in any restaurant in the world with big bar and children next to the bar, sitting next to their parents, and people are in the bar, they're watching. So everything, you can find everything in that bar while the children are there, and it was a big shock. And I kept looking at people to see how do they convince their children that this is not what you should drink. So it was a shock. So everything in the United States is different from anywhere else, even in Europe. Totally different. But you don't get that much of culture shock because you're well received how you are. So it is not the way that I would cry and feel so homeless that I would say, oh, this American culture is killing me. I never had that feeling, never. And I think there are a lot of similarities between Americans and Iranians because both are very well known for being welcoming and friendly. And we are always happy to have guests as Iranians. And I could see that Americans always are happy to see you. at least they show that they are happy to see me. Yeah. And so you never feel that you're left out. Now I know why you have to wait at least 5 years to become citizen, because during that first 5 years that you're here and you've got your green card, your permanent resident, you've decided to stay, you learn how to become the part of an American culture. And, and when I say American culture, it's not like anywhere else. It can be anything. It's not a unified culture. But you start having your connections, you feel American, and you feel that your blood is, and you can, rushes to your face or your heart beats when, for example, you see their football match somewhere, wins, or the soccer team goes somewhere and wins. And you see, okay, now I'm feeling as if that name, that America is somewhere, and you can feel that heart start beating. You feel that you are part of the society then, and you care. You care who becomes the governor. You care who is the mayor. You care what is going on, in your neighborhood. When you start feeling that you care, you're already an American citizen, and you have to think about becoming an American citizen. That was what happened to me. So after 5 years, we went through that process. The process wasn't that difficult, but it was very serious. I said it wasn't difficult because I had gone through hell. So for me, when people smile at an immigration office, it means like they love me, because they don't usually smile anywhere else. And especially through the process, you are even humiliated sometimes. You are treated awfully. Many bad incidents happened, before entering the United States, going through the process of examining who you are and if you are telling the truth or not. But when you're here, no matter how hard the process is, for me it was like blessing. Oh, it's so easy. They ask about everything that you have already said from the first day you thought about coming to the United States. So it's there. They know everything about you, and they're going to double check. It does, and through the process, when they ask you, it doesn't mean that they don't know. They just want to make sure that you are telling the truth. So no matter what, be honest. And as far as you're honest and you have learned your lessons, you have to pass an exam, and you're done. The problem starts after that. If you haven't made up your mind, if you become a citizen and you still do not feel you belong. So I think that there are many people in the United States who are permanent residents but haven't become a citizen, because probably that is what has not happened to them. So as long as you feel that you belong to that society, the rest is your duty as a citizen, to be a law-abiding citizen, to be helpful, to care. And I keep repeating, care, no matter what you think about, care about the people, American people who are just like you. They belong to this country. And read the history of the city you're living in, the history of the country you're. Always read the history and be updated with the true history. Because the people in that history are still alive. They live here, and they breathe the same air that you're breathing. Coming to Tacoma is the best choice they have made if there are immigrants. This is a very important city. So that's train station, the railway to the Pacific Northwest starts from here. So that big civilization owes a lot to Tacoma and the immigrants here. So you are in the best place you can be. You will have the chance to build your social capital. So do not hesitate to reach people. Do not judge them by their color, because no matter where they're from, they're happy to help. And nobody would judge your color, your accent. Even if they do, we don't know what happens in their mind. They won't treat you differently. They try to be unbiased, and they are getting better and better. And this is a very American way, that no matter what their ideology is, they always want to get better. And you can be a part of this orchestra. So never hesitate to ask for help. People will help you, and they will help you. They're welcoming, but you should ask. Don't wait for them to knock at your door. Ask for help and start growing your social capital. Growing social capital is more important and it's more basic. It's the first step that you should take before growing your financial capital. Because if you don't have that social capital, that stage will be quite just a fairy tale. You can't get even close to that. And it is easy to do that. Unlike other cities, neighboring cities, I know people have problem finding that connections with locals, but Tacoma welcomes you, embraces you, open your arms, and don't hesitate to ask for help. My message to my American fellows: never stop dreaming. There are people in the world whose dream is to live one more hour. There are children who don't know if they would see tomorrow. They're starving. They had no roles in any atrocity. They were just born at the wrong time in the wrong place. You have the privilege of dreaming. Keep on dreaming.